all of that revolutionized the global payment system, but they haven't mentioned XRP whatsoever. In fact, they haven't even really mentioned the XRPL directly. And that's the blockchain that XRP lives on. And the asset that they're actually going to be using is actually more of a category of asset, and it's called regulated tokenized value. And that might come in a few different forms, like stablecoins or CBDCs, for example, both of which are stable and pegged to the dollar. We'll get more into that in a second. The point I'm trying to make is that it's not about one specific cryptocurrency as we kind of define cryptocurrencies like XRP or Solana. It's not any one of those. And in many ways, I think when you look at this, you think, okay, adoption of crypto or blockchain isn't looking how I thought it would look. And I think that's kind of correct, because we've been looking one way, looking at XRP doing all this stuff, but in the background, we've been ignoring what banks actually want. So even though XRP can do the thing, why are they considering these other assets instead? So if we know XRP can do all of those cross-border payments for fast and cheap, and it's a neutral bridge asset, it can do all the stuff, why aren't they choosing XRP? Why aren't they choosing any given cryptocurrency? And why are they choosing stablecoins? So let's look at why stablecoins are going to be entirely central to this entire project that Swift are doing here on this blockchain. You know, because I've always looked at stablecoins as just this really boring thing. And so whenever stablecoin conversations came up, I never was interested in it, because it's like, oh, it's just like a dollar. It's not that important. I'm focused on these other things, these transformational things. And what's interesting is that when you think like that and you continue to think like that, you are not thinking about the business model of all of this. You're disregarding banks. You're almost putting banks in the same psychological state as yourself. Banks don't operate like humans. A bank and me are very different things, so we're going to think differently and prioritize different things. My priority is, in fact, volatility. I want volatility so the price of my assets can go up, right? That's how I make money. How a bank makes money, of course, they can see things go up and down, although they're far more conservative. But for them, when they look at payments, what's most valuable to them is a consistent, I send this much money and I receive that much money exactly on the other side. They actually prefer boring. So when they want to send $1 million to another bank, they want to make sure that exact $1 million is held or received on the other side. If you look at XRP, for example, and you send $1 million, you would get that $1 million would send, but it would be minus the drops. The fees essentially associated with it, even though they're very small. Those fees actually cause more of an issue than I once realized, because those fees create what's called a reconciliation process on the bank side.